welcome to this little video, and in this one we're going to look at how we draw bar charts and how we use them to compare two sets of data. So let's start off with some data, and this is some of the stuff from our practice control task for level 2. And what you'll notice is that we've got our hotels split into Rome and Cairo, and we were originally given the cost per week, and we've worked out the cost for 2 people for a week, so we've doubled the cost for 1 person. So let's just switch from there to the actual Excel data. Okay, so there it is in Excel. So you have to imagine that we've actually input that, and now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it into a bar chart. Now what we want to do is show the difference between the two holiday locations. So we're going to plot a chart of all the hotels together and the costs, but we're going to have a gap in between. So that's why we've got an empty row along there. Okay, so our graph is going to be the names of the hotels along the x-axis. So I've highlighted those. And then we're going to put the cost in pounds for 2 people per week on the y-axis, the axis that goes up. Now if I try and highlight the cost for 2 people per week now, notice the names of the hotel become unhighlighted. So what I have to do, because these columns aren't next to each other, I have to highlight my names of my hotels, hold down Control, let go with the left button of the mouse, and now highlight that column there, and then let go of Control, and I'm ready to plot my graph. Now what we can do is insert. If we click on insert up here, we get all the possible choices. And this one here, they call them column charts. You just click on that, take the first one, and there it is. So it's a little bit small, and I don't personally like it embedded in all the data. So the first thing I always do is get my pointer in the actual chart and right click and move chart, and I move it to a new sheet. Okay, it's now nice and big, and we can work on it. Now if you have a look at that, you notice there's some bars and there's some words, but it's not actually a completed bar chart. We've got to do a few things yet. We need to put a title in, we need to label this axis here, and we need to put a unit in there, which is going to be pounds, and we need to label this axis here. And I'm going to show you how we can just tidy it up, make it look a bit prettier. First thing we notice is that the bars are quite thin, and I prefer them a bit fatter than that. So all I do is go to any bar and right click, and then it says Format Data Series. And then over here we get this little 2 things, series overlap or gap width. Now I'm going to make them a bit wider, so we got gap width 219%, so that's just over 2 bars between each bar, if you see what I mean. So I'm going to reduce that by highlighting that and just type in 70 and pressing enter. Now I've got good fat bars there, so it just looks a bit more attractive. Now we're going to have to make space to put what we call a legend or a title on the axes, and then put units in. So I need to make the whole of the graph shrink a bit on the page. So what I do, I just left click inside this area of the graph, and notice I've got 4 little bits I can grab. There's that one, then one down there, and one over there. Now I want this side to come in maybe about that much, and I want the bottom to go up maybe about that much. Okay, now next you'll notice that the numerical scale going up there, well, first of all, it's quite widely spaced, isn't it? It goes 0 to 200 to 400 to 600, and actually the numbers themselves are a bit small. Changing the size is easy. What I do is click actually over one of the numbers, just left click once, and then click on Home at the top here. So I left clicked on one of the numbers, click on Home, and I'm going to change that font size there from 9 to maybe 14. It's a bit more readable then. And I'm going to do the same with the names of the hotels. So just left click on one of the names, I'm on home, so I don't need to click on home again. So I'm just going to change the font size from 9 to 14. So looking at the y-axis going up here, I'm happy with it starting at 0 and happy with it ending at 1400. But what I don't like is it going up in 200s. I want it to go up in 100s. Now to do that, I left click on any of the numbers and the format axis options will appear here, and I want to choose this one over on the far right, this axis options, those three little bars there. Okay, so I click on that. So what I did, I clicked on one of the numbers, left click, and left click on these three bars here. I've got four options here. I want the first one, axis options, so I left click on that, and there's some confusing stuff pops up. So I see this bit here, bounds. It says minimum 0, maximum 1400. So I could change the bottom of the scale and the top of the scale just by changing those. It's this bit I'm looking at now though. Units, major, it says 200. So that means that each line goes up in 200s, and I'm going to change that. So I go left and highlight it and just type on the top of it 100. When I press enter, this scale over here will change from going up in 200s to go up in 100s, like this. That's much better. Okay, now I want to put a title on the on both axes. So to do that, up on the top here, I need to choose the Design tab. So I click on Design, and over here we can see Add Chart Element. So I left click on that, and I get lots of options then. We're going to use chart title shortly, but I'm going to click on axis titles. So I just run the mouse over axis titles, and then this will appear. Primary horizontal, so that's the x-axis, that's the name of the hotels, and primary vertical. So I'm going to click on primary vertical. And now I can put a title in. To put the title in, there's a box up here, so I left click on that box. So let's go through what it did. I clicked on the Design tab, Add Chart Element, and then I chose Axis Titles, and I chose the vertical axis, and then this box. So I'm going to type in here, cost per week for 2 people. Now that's good. I've got a label on there, but I must always, in every graph, put units in. So I could put brackets, pounds. This computer doesn't do pounds, doesn't do a pounds symbol, so that's a bit of a blow. If I try that, it'll just get the hashtag. So I'm going to write here in pounds. Hopefully on your computer you've actually got a pound symbol, so it will be easier. But I've got a label and I've got the unit, and I'm just going to press enter, and there it is, it appears. It's a little bit small, so I'm going to click on home, and then I'm going to change the font size to 14. There we are. So we've got a good label there, and I've got units. Now, next thing, I'm going to put a title on the x-axis going across. So once again, I click on Design, Add Chart Element, Axis Titles. This time I'm doing the primary horizontal, and I'm going to click in that box, and I'm going to put name of hotel and press enter. Again, it's a bit small. I want to make that font larger, so I click on home, and I'm changing it from 10 to 14. I can type 14, or I could click on that arrow and get the drop down. Name of hotel. Next up, I'm going to do the chart title. Now I could just click on that chart title and then click in the box here, or I could do design up here if I wanted and add chart element. But it's easier just to click on that chart title box. So my title will be comparison of hotel costs Rome v Cairo, something like that. Press enter, That's a little bit small, isn't it? We want to make it a bit bigger. It's a title after all. So now remember what we do. Click on Home. Maybe make that 16. There we go, it's a little bit bigger. Now there's only one last thing I want to do. Now my graph is, the intention of it is to compare the costs of hotels in Rome to those in Cairo. And I've decided not to do the two bars together. I've decided to split it like this. So what I need to do is show which ones are Rome and which ones are Cairo. Now the simplest way to do that is to put a little text box in. So I'm going to go Insert, and up here's Text Box. Text Box. I'm just going to draw a box anywhere, and I'm going to write in there Rome, and press Enter. Oh no, sorry, and click off it. So now Rome, the text is a little bit small, so what I'm going to do is I left clicked in that text box, highlight the text, and change the font by clicking on that 11 to 14, or I could use the drop down menu. Notice the text box is a little bit big, so by putting the mouse, running the mouse over those little squares, I can reduce its width and its height. Now I don't want it up there, I want it down the bottom here, so I'm going to hold the left button in now when that's over there and put them down here. Now if I want to do one for Cairo, I'll just do the same thing. Insert text box, just put a text box in there, type in the word Cairo, make the box a bit smaller, and change the font to 14, and then drag down there, and there it is. So we got those words in. Let's have a look. We'll try and put a bit of colour on now, but first of all, see these lines here? They're a little bit faint, so I want to make those a bit darker. So what I'm going to have to do is choose one line, not the top or the bottom one, but any line in the middle there. So let's choose that one, and double left click. And then I get all the line menu over here. So if you look here, it's got colour, spelt in the American way without the U. And now if I click on that arrow, I can choose any colour I want. Let's choose that almost black, and there it is. Notice this one down the bottom hasn't changed colour. So if I just get the mouse pointer over it and click on it, there's my line options here. The colour is currently pale grey, and I get almost black, and there it is. So now it's a much easier graph to read. What might be nice, put a bit of colour in. Let's colour the all that white in there. So what we've got to do is double left click in between the lines. Notice it's come up with plot area. Double left click. We're on fill or border. These are all the options for border. I want the options now for fill. So I click on fill. I want a solid fill, that's just one colour. I'm quite happy with that yellow, to be honest, but any options I wanted I could just choose there. You can get some hideous options or some quite nice ones. That one doesn't look too bad, does it? Now what would be nice would be to colour the outside as well. So once again I'm going to double click on there, fill. So I'm colouring the outside edge now where the mouse pointer is. See, it's got fill, solid fill. It's chosen yellow for me. And there it is. So that's the completed bar chart. It's not actually a comparative bar chart because a comparative bar chart has two little bars per category. But we couldn't do that here. So I've actually done sort of two bar charts on one. But it does allow us to compare, and we can see patterns straight away. We can see the rising price of the hotels. We can see that all the hotels in Cairo are more expensive than all the ones in Rome. And the most expensive one in Rome is cheaper than the cheapest in Cairo. So lots of things are easily displayed on that. So that's how we do that kind of bar chart. Now we could do a slightly different bar chart, but we'd have to do something with the data. Now what I'm going to do is click on this data. Now notice I haven't got any hotel names here. I've just called them Hotel 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got costs per week for one person and two people for Rome, and then there's Cairo for one person and two people. Now to do a comparative bar chart with two bars per category, what I'm going to have to do is highlight In fact, I'm going to highlight the word hotel and hotel 1, 2, 3, 4. This time I want to get the title at the top of the table. Now I'm not going to go to the next column, so I must hold down Control and highlight there. Keep Control held down and highlight there. Now I want to do a comparative bar chart, so I'm going to go Insert, and if I click on the column chart, as they call them, Options, there, let's have a little look. There we are. So the very first one is good for us, and I'll click on that. So now what I want to do first, right click, move chart to a new sheet, and there we are. Now all the stuff you're going to do to this chart will be the same as the last one. We're going to make all the text bigger, we're going to put a title and units on the y-axis, we're going to put a title on here, hotels. Here is the legend. We would actually just drag that up and make it bigger. Home, let's make that 16 because that's quite important. Notice Cairo's disappeared because it's down here in the box, so we're going to make the box a bit bigger. We can put that anywhere we want, put that over there. Now all the other stuff we would do, making the bars bigger, putting the axis titles, the chart title, the units in, is just as the other chart. But that's how you do a comparative bar chart. Now the reason I didn't choose this for this particular option was the fact that we can't put the hotel names on. Okay, so what you've got to do is have a little practice. Just try some data, try some different graphs, click around and see what happens. The best thing to do is get some data, go to Insert, and try all the different kinds of graphs. If you click there, you can see what you get. You get lots of different charts. Okay, anything that goes wrong, remember the undo. And there it is. So that's it from me. Now I will leave you with a nice picture of a completed and acceptable bar chart. And it's bye for now.